Okay, so Swift, what's your question?
So I've been working on this Web3 like minting process. And last week when I had the problem with not putting the price right, I tried to fix it by going into the different flows and then I somewhere. So it works on my production website,
Mhm.
but when I publish from the canvas, the test doesn't work. So somewhere I had it right and then I broke it, and now I can't publish any changes to the main thing without publishing whatever I broke.
Mhm.
So can I just walk through the minting flow and you can see
Yeah.
where I messed it up? So we've got the button right here. I need to move out of the way. Okay. It triggers this flow, which creates a record. And so this should run this flow in the header. So when we go over to the header, it runs connect and mint, which then goes to connect MetaMask. And then, excuse me. Which then goes into the mint, which goes through this.
Mhm.
So I don't know. I've compared it with the way that the original was built, and I just don't know what I did.
I would say go back to that where you just were, that mint
Okay.
flow, and we can look in there. I saw the first thing is that it pulled the price from the contract.
Right.
So that should be fine, but also you can hard code a price too. So if there's
Okay.
something going on there, maybe it's just a hard code thing.
Okay, so that's in here. Yeah, so you think in here?
I wouldn't say change it. Yeah, I was just saying I
Okay.
noticed that's something.
Okay.
But
Click
that
on
should be
action
fine, I
2.
think.
Yeah, go into action 2. Let's look at the. So scroll up again. What was the
Oh, I
map?
see. You're not even using that to use the price anyway. You're putting the price right. Oh, I see. Current price is. So basically you're taking the current price from the contract and converting it from like into way, basically. I think the contract probably already does that for you. So that could be the issue right there. That like maybe you
okay.
just need to use current price. Did you try that?
I have not.
I think that might actually just work. But if not, we can keep looking through. Normally, like if you wanted to say like 0.42 ETH, you would have to do that conversion. But because you're getting the price from the contract originally, I bet you it already converts. No.
It's not. I am connected, but when I click, it doesn't. When I go to the published version and I lock in and mint, it brings up.
I see the one on MetaMask over there, yeah.
Let's see. So this was the test. Yeah.
So it's not even opening up MetaMask.
Right.
Even at a 0 price or whatever,
Yeah,
it would still pop MetaMask open there. And on click of that button
Over here.
were there any other conditions that might make it not get to the mint? Like let's check like maybe it's not actually running the flow to mint, like you click the button, but something in between is not actually doing it. Um, so yeah, and here, like maybe a variable name changed. So like, where's the place where it's setting the variable to 1 that condition is, because there's a condition in the mint flow. So somewhere prior to it, and I would think it should be on that button click. Yeah, so in here, this compare values mint after connect flag. If you
Yeah.
click on that action, what's the name of that variable? I bet this is just not set to 1 somewhere before it. Like you probably accidentally removed the set variable somewhere
Mm.
before it. That's
Yeah, that makes
usually
sense.
that's the
Right.
kind of problem I cause, So copy that variable name mint after connect.
Okay.
And then I think what you want to do is back on the button click where they actually start the mint process.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like maybe inside that mint flow or right before it. Yeah, it's fine. Just set that variable first. And I didn't look, maybe Drew, you saw it. Was it coming from the root? It should be. Yeah.
I don't
And then
remember. I know what that
1.
is. This is coming from the template. This is awesome actually seeing the template totally looking different. But yeah, that's like I know exactly
And
what's
you
going
should
on. This makes total sense.
put a wait in there too after the set variable. Make sure it sets the variable before it runs any of the other flows.
Okay.
Try that and let's just see, because maybe it just never is running it,
Yeah. That would make sense. Yeah, interesting.
No, still didn't do it. So the next place I would go is I would like stop the process I would do like almost always the same kind of thing I was doing for main's problem is like I always break the process out into a series of buttons just to see like where is the issue and like force it.
Okay.
Because there's when the systems get real complex like this, it's really difficult sometimes to find where because you're calling things like all over the place, right? So
Yeah.
I would, and Drew might have a different way of doing this too. Like everybody kind of has their own path, but a lot of times what I'll do is I'll go into like the header in this case and manually click the mint button. So it's like click that button and then go into the header and manually click another button that just runs the flow that should be running. And that'll tell me if it runs from there, then it's something between. And at least now I've like cut the ends off of where the issue is. If it doesn't
Okay.
run from there, then I know it's after that mint button and I can kind of step through from that way. My goal is always like doing a split up of these complex setups to see where the actual issue is and then narrow it down.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. I'll do that, and
think
that'll help me
too-
understand it better.
Yeah, that definitely will. That definitely is always helpful. But I think in this case, before you get to that step, there's other stuff you could do. Like we could look at the console and see if you're getting an error, because maybe you're just getting an error in MetaMask and it's just not popping up. Like we don't really know. Or we could check the database and see if that record's saving, because maybe the button click is working for all we know.
I think it is. So this is the one we just did. And it is saving there. It's not, for some reason, it's not logging. It's not saving the MetaMask into the login ID.
Okay.
You
know what that tells me maybe is it's not actually connected.
Yeah.
So here's it shows it's connected up there though, huh?
Yeah. So but it's not. That's one thing that was my next question, but it might actually be the same issue, is that when I create this record, I'm trying to pull the MetaMask wallet into the login ID.
That's close, but it's coming from the header, I think, because we actually do the MetaMask connection in the header always. So you can specifically say header MetaMask wallet. That should solve that if it's connected actually.
So keep on putting the zoom thing in the like
And
right
it's
where I
always
need to
in the
click.
way.
There's no good place for it. I don't think it created a
I don't think it did.
23rd record because you had
Okay.
22 records there before.
Yeah. And that's what I think I've tried that before where I have it call from the header, but it doesn't, then it just doesn't create it at all. So when I put it back to current page, then it creates the record, but just doesn't grab the ID.
Okay.
Yeah, it's in
That's
users.
weird. Like if anything, it should just be blank.
Well, if it's blank, then it's, oh, wait, can you go back to the data collection one more time?
Yeah.
And scroll over to the one, yeah, on the one that was created earlier today and scroll to the right again. Yeah, that Rodney's pet rock one.
Yeah.
I'll see what's going on. You see it, Mark?
No,
Your field that you made is called login ID with no space, but the field you selected was login ID with a space, which is actually the Bildr native thing that can't be changed called login ID. Or maybe, oh, maybe not. That one says that's login ID.
I
so
don't think so.
You might have had it right.
Because one time it did work
Oh,
before I
what?
broke it.
That's not supposed to happen.
How would you?
How did you do that?
That
So I'm
skill.
confused now because that login ID field, you're not supposed to be able to change, but if you're in the user, like your user should be created. If they sign in with MetaMask and it creates a user, oh, maybe that's not how you're doing it. But if it
Yeah,
was,
that's what I
their
was.
user should be called MetaMask dot their wallet address, but their users are, the
Right, so-
IDs are all blank.
Well, but he's not connecting. I mean, he's not signing up with MetaMask. He's just connecting with MetaMask and then using the wallet as the login ID.
Right.
And where's the process where it does that? Was that done? That was done up above, right?
MetaMask.
Like in the, yeah, that was like in the header, right?
Right. So when you click connect wallet, then it runs this, which then sets this in the, it does set it in the header, which is why I don't understand why why when I call from the header, it doesn't pull that, but and it does could set this correctly.
I think what might be going on is when you call it from the current page, it doesn't exist. It's blank. So
Okay.
Builder's like letting that slide. It's saying login ID blank. Builder's like, yeah, fine. It's not going to change anything. But
Okay.
when you set it from the header, it has a value. And then Builder's like, no, you can't change the login ID. That's what I
see.
bet
think
it
that's
is. That's kind of
exactly-
crazy, but
That
Yeah,
makes
I think
sense.
that's actually what's happening. I think the way to, like, if you're wanting to create real users based on the wallet, I would do that process in the header, and instead of doing the connect wallet, like actually do the sign in, because it forces it. The only problem is when you do that, it creates a user record. I'm sorry, it makes them sign in the wallet, like actually do a signature.
Okay.
Not just a
Yeah.
connect, like, because that's how we in the back end associate that, like we verify using Web3.js and MetaMask that is the actual wallet that signed it,
Right.
are
And
you
because
doing the
otherwise,
users? Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I mean, it's not likely to happen, but if you're creating the users with the wallet address using a variable like that, like anyone who is competent in JavaScript and Builder in any way could basically just go set that variable to any wallet address they want. And it would create a user in that other wallet address, like whatever wallet they put in that variable. And so that, I think if you're it depends on what you want to do with it. Like if you're wanting to have
Yeah,
them
that's what I was
later
gonna ask.
connect and like do a bunch of stuff in your web app, then I would use the real sign up with
Yeah.
MetaMask. So that way it's like, it's the most secure way to do it. But if you're just having them do the mint and it's just for something else, then it's probably fine. It's just for that, then it's just fine, because they still have to sign to do the mint in the wallet anyways. You know what I mean?
Right.
So
Yeah.
if they put faked out the wallet address in the variable, it's not going to let them mint because they don't actually have that wallet, you know? So
So
it just
the
depends on
reason
what you need.
the whole reason I want to connect is just because I don't. So they create this user, and it has all these attributes that I then go over to this tool, and I fill them out here.
I see.
So what I would love to do eventually is get it so that I skip this step, and it just creates like you guys do with minting the Bildr pass, where you you randomly generate a thing and then mint the image straight from there. And then, because I don't actually really want their wallet address. I just got it so that I could later go into the transaction and update the one that they minted, if that makes sense.
Yeah. I think
Um,
so. In that case, you don't really even need to be using a user's table. Like that table
Okay.
could be called anything else. And the fact that it's user's table is probably making it harder with that login ID. That's like a little gotcha. But you could also probably just, I guess, just do it how you're doing it, because it is creating the records. And then since you already have that set up in the metadata app, there's actually like a function, like I can give you it in Discord, because I'll have to like look it up and paste it, but I can give you a function if you want to write those directly from your app. Basically, it's just an API call to the Bildr metadata server. So it's built into the metadata app, but you can use that same thing in your own app. So maybe step one is
Cool.
getting it to work so that you can publish again, but we can definitely make that update too. And then you won't have to worry about manually typing in the metadata app.
Okay, cool. Yeah, thank you.
And you could, to store the wallet ID right now in the users table, I would say do one of two things. Either create a new collection called whatever you want and re-put all the fields in there and do it all in that new collection, or just make another column in the users table called login ID or wallet, and
Yeah.
put the wallet in there and leave the login ID blank. It looks like it'll just let you create those records with blank login ID. If they're not ever signing in, then at least you've got the data there. But one of those two should just work, I would think.
So it doesn't even mess with the login ID restriction like that. Okay.
But I don't think any of that solves the mint.
I was just gonna say
Not
that's
opening
all
up.
like different than the mint issue in the first place.
Well, when I break out, I'll just break it out step by step and see at what point it stops working.
Okay, and let us know, and then we can troubleshoot that thing.
Yeah,
Okay.
for sure.
All right, so we've got a couple of questions. I know Mitch has a question about the API, and then John, you have to run. What's your question on the Lightbox real quick? I bet we can knock that out real fast if you're still available.
I think no, he's there.
Okay. All right, well, let's go to Mitch. John, if you come up with the question, just feel free to chat what it is, and then we can take a look. I bet you just need to create a blank flow. And just call it do nothing if it's something about the Lightbox going away when you click on the outer. But okay, Mitch, what was your question on APIs?
Hey, y'all.
Hey.
I but it's a two-parter if possible, but the main one is I am getting a very weird, let's see. Getting a very weird thing here when I'm sending an object to Xano. I'm getting this really strange thing. So it's set up. It's probably actually easier if I just load up the question, because I sent screenshots. And it wasn't. Right, so this is how I have it set up, right? You get the content is the key, the value, this is an object. Inside the console, it's showing the value, the object correctly. But then this is what we're getting in Bildr. And this is just the raw input.
It looks like it's So the output, it depends on what's in that variable, like where you're getting that variable from, but this is an array inside of an object. So that 0 is like the first object
Right.
inside of an array. So like, is this what you're seeing here? Is that what's actually stored in Xano?
No, this is what's stored. So up here, you can see it there, it's not an array.
Can we see it in the preview?
Yeah, sorry, my brain is so scattered. It's gonna take me a
No
second
worries.
to remember where the hell it is. Right, I think it's down here. Yeah. So. Where is it right now? Here it is. So what did you want to see specifically?
So what I want to see is I want to see if in the, it kind of depends on where this is in the UI, but what I was wanting to see is what the value of that
Value is?
variable called value is right before it sends. Yeah.
Right, so what I can do. I mean, so this is actually what I've got going on right here.
Mm.
And I can put it in front if you want. So it should happen if I just click this new button. And then it's all, there it is.
So Junix, you were saying that when it comes back from Xano, you're seeing it that way, but when it sends it over, it's not. Is that what you're saying there?
Yeah.
Drew, I'm just chatting.
Yeah. Yeah,
'Cause-
maybe
yeah,
I
I mean-
can set up a quick test for it to.
Wait,
prove
say that
that.
again?
Sorry,
What were you saying, Junix?
I have the same issue. So when I pass back a single object without any array notation, and it comes into Builder, then it becomes a object 0 object situation. So it's not an array, but it becomes somehow an object
Mhm.
array.
Well, and it's also weird because it's beyond just an array.
Yeah,
You know,
it's not
the
a
way
typical
it's
array.
like, it puts these quotes in front of the object on
Yeah.
top of it.
Yeah, it's like it stringified a. That's really
It's a bit
strange.
I
But I'm
think
trying to figure out where this right here is the request like log in Xano, right? That's what we're looking
Yeah.
at here.
Right, this is just the raw input.
So this is what we sent over to it. If you
Right.
go back into the preview, can we just look at the network call that goes out? It should look like this on the way out.
Hey,
Yeah.
Drew, can you check out that lightbox question in the chat that you might be able to
Where the hell would it be?
handle that for John?
I mean, you can
Uh,
also just clear it and run it again. You know,
How do you clear it?
see the little red dot to the right of that. There's like a
Yeah. Of
don't.
this?
Yeah, it's that. We'll clear it. Yeah.
No, what am I doing? Network.
You're
Oh,
in
I'm
it.
network.
Oh, but you have Xano in a filter in like a search in the top left.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
remove that search. Maybe. Why is it not?
Well, did it not? So this was actually another thing that was occasionally happening. I'm not, no, this is right. This is the object. This is the.
Oh,
call.
it's running from it's a client side API call.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's look at the payload.
Payload, right?
Yep. Yeah, so it's definitely sending it that way.
Yeah.
It's sending it as an object. Why?
I wasn't watching the screen, but did you check out the actual action where it's forming that payload? It's
No,
probably
let's
just
go
sending it
back
as a
out.
JSON object. You think?
Yeah, it could be. Yeah, let's go look at it. If you go back to the action in the studio.
So where do I look? In the JSON?
Yeah, just. So the value, no, just right there. It's
Oh.
fine. In the UI is fine. So yeah, in the body, we're just sending a key of content.
I mean,
And the
it's selected,
value is-
that body is selected on JSON object right now, because normally we're sending a JSON object into the server
Right.
side API call on purpose. So
Right.
technically, I mean, I don't
I
know if
think-
that's what it is, but I feel like there's something in there where it might be a little weird if you're doing in browser and maybe it expects something a little different.
Could be.
So you're
Yeah,
saying,
if you
should I
scroll
set this
and-
up as a server side?
I mean, that the only reason, if that did fix it, the only reason it would fix it is because the input type is different. Like it's not like there's nothing technical on the type that's causing that. But could you scroll up in there just a little bit? I do want to make sure. I'm pretty sure it is JSON object, like you said, Drew, but I just want to make sure. Yeah, it was. Just where like the label says body, just scroll down just a little bit to the body one. Keep going. Yeah, there.
Yep.
Yeah, okay. Just wanted to make sure of that.
And then we could look at how value is set, maybe. I mean, I don't know. I don't know what it's supposed to look like as much for the in browser too, because I usually use the server side one. It's probably the same,
Well,
it probably doesn't matter.
values coming out of a variable, which is why it's a string inside of there. So if you want it to not be a string, do add a path to that right there in value, do the add a path and put JSON parse in there. And it'll parse the string into JSON. And at least then it's not like, I think it's still weird up above it, but at least then it's gonna send it through. Cause it's stringifying a JSON object that's inside of there because it's sitting in a variable in Bildr's core. So that should make it come back out. So if you run that again and we look at the network, you might have to refresh and do it again.
Oh, it's kind of a pain in the ass. I have those buttons hidden. Hold on.
You gotta go through a process.
Yeah, that's all right. Oops, I didn't want to do that. And meeting controls. Nope, I didn't want to do that either. Let's do it here.
Is it just not letting you select? Oh, there we go.
All right. There. Oh, that's weird, but I don't know what that was about. Huh.
It's still stringifying it though. But it's not really. That's the weird thing, is it's not like actually escaped. I think it's what you said, Drew.
Well, if we look here. Is that the right one? Can I come in? Yep, that's the one.
I think it's what you said, Drew.
Still
It's
coming
like
in there.
because we're forcing an object, you know?
I mean, the problem is, you know, hypothetically, I could break this down and send them as individual key values, but each
That's
of
what
those
that
objects
object
on
is
the canvas are
expecting.
going to be different. So it'd be a
Right.
total clusterfuck.
I think that's what's happening there, is that because it's a JSON object and it's already like, you created that variable as an object already, right? Like you manually strung it together as a JSON object. That's what value is.
So there's an easy fix then,
But
right?
the value came from Xano as an object already.
Right, and then the JSON object input argument type, basically like redoes it again. Like it's creating an object out of whatever contents passed to it. And so it's like object inside of an object now when it doesn't need to be. And then on top of that, because it's coming from a variable, that's where the extra string is coming from.
Oh,
But I
so
think
you're saying
Drew,
if I
go.
were to, the hack would be to change it out of JSON here?
Yeah, it's just that one value, so you can actually change it to just the body will come from variable and be value, right?
Because, well, I'm not sure if it has the word content in it,
It doesn't.
you know?
But could you concatenate it, or that would be weird?
Yeah, that's probably what I would do is concatenate it, because then you're creating it manually, right? So you'd literally like, well, you'd have to open the object here though. So you'd have to like, it's similar to what the JSON object does.
Right.
It's like at the very beginning, an open object, yeah, and then content. And then, yeah, don't open a string exactly. And then now from that variable value. And in here, I would also do,
And then we get
I would, yeah. And then just close it. But I think we might have to also, oh, and that's why this was working. That, no, never mind. Go back to the console log. What's the console log one look like? It's just pulling the value. So because that's why that looks correct, because it's not trying to do the JSON object around it and all that stuff. It's just sending the value, which was right.
right.
The only other thing that this might need, because that value is a string. And when you pull a variable, you're always pulling it as a string. And so
Really?
you might need, yeah, it like the Builder core is just always when it's setting a variable, it's actually like putting it in as a string and taking it back out as a string. So you might need to put JSON parse in that path there, which will just, I mean, if it's already a JSON, it's not going to do anything anyways, right? So it should be fine to just like, if it's an object, it's going to work. And if it's a string, it's going to work. I think that will make it look right going over. But that actually makes a lot of sense now, Drew. I wasn't really thinking about that object is like,
Didn't that work?
It's still a little confusing to me because I feel like it should work, you know? Like it's like, it
No.
sort of makes sense, but it's also like, why would it be like that? You know, the server side one's not like that. You just do what he did.
Still
Well,
sending it.
mm,
So is the issue maybe
that
that
makes no sense.
the body is somehow, that doesn't make sense.
I kind of missed some parts of this because I was answering a question in the chat, but the original value comes from Xano, and we talked about.
I know why.
Oh, you know why?
Yeah, this doesn't make any sense. So like if we step back and think about it, what Xana's expecting is an object not called content, right? Isn't it just expecting an object that's in the body that's just ID created at quote? Isn't that what Xano wants?
I mean, it doesn't really matter. I originally had it as, you know, putting it
Oh,
in
you
that
have
way,
another.
but I now have it as I can just get all the inputs, so it doesn't really matter. I can send it
So you have
however.
both.
Well, just for now, as I was testing it, I had actually taken this away and then was relying on this, but it was still sending back I don't know what the fuck to do with this error.
Yeah. Yeah. Which
So,
is
like-
is that the response now? Go ahead, Drew.
Well, I was gonna take a little different direction, but basically say like, if in theory this would work as a server-side API call. Like I think normally I would do this exact setup and it usually works. I just don't normally use the browser one, so my head's kind of going, maybe there's a bug in the browser one. But I was gonna mention this also in the middle of all this is like, you're probably using a Xano API key in this. And if you're using that in browser call, you're exposing your API key.
There is no API key for this.
Oh, okay.
Any sensitive data I would do server side. The only reason
Okay,
I'm
cool.
doing the browser is because, as I understood, it was slightly faster.
It technically, yeah. I mean, it doesn't go through our server, but I don't know how noticeable that would be.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think it's slow as it is, so I'm trying to squeeze out everything.
Yeah. I tried to,
Technically, it'll always be faster because it's fewer hops, you know?
I've set up a simple situation where we only, this is just a temp API in Xano, and it passes back a object. And when you see it in Bildr, it has exactly this format as we see now. So
I wonder if instead of using value, we use value.0.
yeah, that would work. That does work. So you can retrieve the value back, but
So do I change
To
this
the
back to
variable
the,
itself.
remove the concatenate and
I think
Probably
it'll
doesn't
work
matter.
either
It's
way.
the
Yeah,
same
there.
Yeah.
thing, really.
It'll be either way. I would just,
Oh,
yeah.
key contents value as variable. Average value.
not zero.
It's really funny, Jerome, because you literally said the exact problem in the very beginning.
Yeah,
That it's coming back because he's retrieving it from there, and the variable is always wrong, or not wrong, but it's just, you know.
Still like a little confusing to me, but I feel like that's weird.
That's really weird.
I don't know why in my head that was so clear that that'll just work, but we might have just missed something.
That looks right.
Oh, you know what? It's not, because it's not really value 0, because we're sending content is the value and we're getting 0 content value. So it's
Yeah.
like Builder's still placing that 0. It's outside of the
in front of
value.
it. Yeah, sorry. The 0 only works when you get the result back from Xano and then you want to display it, but it's not working when you
Yeah.
send it the other way around. Yeah.
Yeah.
I still don't really understand what's creating that in the first place. Because the console log has it correct, and the console log's just pulling the value.
At least I'm not going crazy. So that's one thing.
All right, guys. So what's the final say on this? We have to wrap up office hours, and I want to make sure we have whatever the next action steps are to help Mitch.
But final say on this is I would like to see it running on my browser and step through each piece and see where it's getting that 0 added in, where it's putting an array around this thing.
Sure.
It
What do
doesn't
you
make
need to
any
do that?
sense. Just chat me, just DM me links, and if I need to sign in, just like a user ID and password or whatever it is, just to
I
the
think I
preview.
actually already
and-
gave you access a while back and this,
Yeah.
it automatically removed it. So
Will you, no, it shouldn't have if you gave me access. Would you chat me just the Builder Studio link that's in your browser right now? Just chat me that link, just DM that
Yep.
to me.
no
And
problem.
I can go in and take a look.
Cool.
'Cause I do want to see what's adding that on. It doesn't make any sense that there would be, it shouldn't be an array in any of these contexts unless it was that way to begin with. Especially when we did the concatenate. Like that doesn't make any sense to me. That should have just pulled it, you know?
I had a quick curiosity. When you publish, and the code that is created, is it the kind of thing where, for example, if we were to do a workaround to try and fix something and you fix the bug later, is the code separated from the Builder core? So whatever fixes happen aren't gonna fuck up
Yeah.
the, okay.
I mean, there's two different parts of what Builder is, right? So there's the core execution environment, which is if you look in our like JavaScript in the front end, there's 4 files there. It's like boppy, objects, form base. So those are things when we publish, it affects every single project, gets those changes. But the actual functions inside of your project, like a JavaScript function that renders a chart or something, that's in your project.
Got
And that doesn't get pushed out at all. Like
Okay.
you have to go forcefully update those. So the answer really is it depends. It depends on which
That's
part
fair.
we're fixing or whatever.
That's fine.
But we try to be extremely backward compatible, obviously, because the core itself, we're like super hesitant. We actually know of a bug right now in the queue that we're about to do this next release and we're not going to touch that bug because if we go into the queue and start making changes, it requires this massive amount of testing across every possible scenario, backward compatible, forward compatible. It's kind of wild. So
I feel
we
for
don't,
you all.
we try not to touch that unless we have to,
Cool.
But yeah, for the most part, you shouldn't have any issue with that. And anytime that we know something's going to be affected, we'll let you know.
Okay.
But we haven't had that in quite a while now, where we've had to like say, okay, everybody needs to go update this before we do this publish, you know? It's been, I don't even know, it was in the very beginning of launching into alpha and stuff. So I don't expect that we'll need that. And we'll create some automated way if we ever have to.
Cool. I'm ready. Thanks for your help.
All right. Sorry we couldn't get it further, Mitch, but Mark will take a look and see if he can figure out what's going on there. And then
I
if
have
there's
faith.
something for us to write up, we'll take a look at that. Okay. All right. So I think we're a little bit past time. So anything else, chat us in the Discord. Thanks for letting us look at what Fraser deemed very appropriately, or I think it was interesting situations today. So thank you all for letting us exercise our brains, and we'll see you next week. I will share the upload when I get a chance. Thank you, everyone.
Thanks,
Bye-bye.
guys.